Why would a guy not be interested in dating somebody who does the kind of work that we do if they, okay, let's say you meet a girl and you genuinely like her personality, and then you find out that she does that, and then maybe she doesn't meet the stereotype that you've given that a girl to be in that kind of career. Like, would you still just call it off because of what she does, or would you be interested into like,
I have a second part.
I don't know. Have a second thought. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna vary from guy to guy. Like, I know that there's definitely guys that wouldn't care that much. There's some guys that actually push their women into doing like online sex work and whatnot. I can only speak for me personally. Like, if I was talking to a girl and I found out she did that, it would be I wouldn't be able to stomach it, because like I was telling her, like I'm a very territorial man when it comes to I don't want to share my woman with anyone. I don't want guys knowing what her body looks like in terms of like what she looks like underneath her clothes, what she looks like naked, anything like that. Like, I want that to be reserved for me and me alone. And I want that to be a special thing that we share with one another. That's one aspect of the psychology. The other aspect of it is, I don't want my kid's mother I don't want her body all over the internet.
Literally any man with a modicum of self-respect would not date a sex worker. It's not some misconception. It's not some bias. It's not some irrational feeling based on stereotypes. It's disgusting. Dating a sex worker is objectively disgusting. A woman who is a sex worker is disqualified from being a decent wife and mother. Any man with sense can understand this. But part of what these women have to do to justify getting into this profession is convincing themselves that men who object to the idea of dating a quote-unquote sex worker, let's be real, a prostitute, are just blinded by superstition and prejudice. That's what these women have to tell themselves. They have to think that they'll still be able to find a decent man who will commit to and provide for them after they've engaged in this disgusting behavior. And furthermore, every single person has a price tag on their life. There's no, oh, I just love her so much. I just love her altruistically. I love her for who she is. I don't care what she's done. I'm willing to overlook all that. I'm just so in love. No, everyone has a price tag on their life. Men and women. If you want to ignore that, you're a fool. In every covenanted Bible-believing nation, it was assumed that a man's wife was a virgin when they married. Why would you want to put a ring on some blast-out roast beef? And especially, why would you want to put a ring on a literal open hole? It is absurd that Chase has to defend himself on this issue, but that's 2023 for you. Up is down, left is right, good is evil.
I don't want my kids to have to potentially deal with that someday, because I read stories about kids who do get bullied at school for it and they end up killing themselves. And it's just, there's way too many liabilities there for me personally to deal with. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I also have a question for you guys.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah, it's just,
sorry.
It's just not right. She's going to be pulling me in the other direction. I'm trying to serve Christ. I'm trying to serve God, and she's running the complete opposite direction. He brought up the equally yoked phrase earlier. He's talking about that yoked. He's talking about a yoke. You know how oxens are yoked together with this bar that goes across their neck. Well, unequally yoked would be two separate animals barred together. It just doesn't make sense to plow grain with two separate animals. That's what it's like being a believer with an unbeliever. It's just two separate species, essentially. Just does not make sense for me as a believer to be with an unbeliever.
Yeah. To bring it back to how I answered your question too, does my explanation about the territorialness and not wanting to share a woman make sense?
Oh, absolutely.
Do you feel like that's fair and justified?
I think that's fair. I think sounds like somebody's hit a car.
Yeah, people drive by and try to make noises because they know the show's going on.
No way.
Yeah, happens all the time. People will wait for the show to start and then they'll rev their engine down below.
Wow.
That's hella funny.
All this podcast does is expose the nature and mentality of your average young woman in 2023, and people have a problem with that. And it's true, not every girl you meet on the street is going to be literally an OnlyFans girl. It's not that bad, at least not yet. But I'd be hard-pressed to find a young woman my age who doesn't totally sign off on what these women say on this podcast, who isn't in lockstep with this woman who's talking about why she doesn't understand why men don't want to date a sex worker, as if it already isn't self-evident.
So that makes sense to you?
No, it totally makes sense, and that's why I kind of just wrote off that I would even find somebody that and be in anything serious until I was done doing it. And not because I think that that's necessarily right. I've just accepted that, I think.
You might find a guy who has tolerance for it. I don't know.
I have a lot of fans, for I guess, that say that they would like to date me knowing what I do, but then once they're with me would want me to quit. And I think that that's kind of hypocritical. It's like, wait, you found me like this, and now you want it to like. I think it's.
I think it's
you might feel
you
might feel it's hypocritical, but I would argue it's actually a good impulse. It's a protective impulse that a man has towards his woman, right?
Wait, what did I miss? What is hypocritical?
She was saying that guys will tell her fans will tell her from online that they want to date her, but once they have her, they would want her to stop her online sex work.
And then they have, I have a lot of like breeding, like they want to like put a baby, like I get a lot of that where they're like, oh, I want you to have my baby. I want you to have my baby. Like, so they want, they want to like take it off the market. Does that make sense?
Okay.
This woman literally advertises her body online. We have not evolved beyond the point where we can see a person. I don't even believe in evolution, but we have not evolved beyond the point where we can see a person and say, yeah, you're attractive. I want to procreate with you. There's just no way humanity will get past that. And these men that this digital siren is able to ensnare will still desire her as a prospective partner. They aren't thinking about the fact that there's probably tens, if not thousands of other men who are thinking the same way. And they're not unique and special to her. And they have this sort of parasocial relationship in their minds where it's really one-sided, but they feel like it's two-sided. Exclusivity is part of healthy boundaries. Of course they would want to stop if they're actually in a relationship with you. This woman is insane. Even if you believe in evolution, you have to admit, sex was never recreational back in the day. Humanity did not evolve alongside the existence of condoms, right? You like someone because you think they're fertile. You like someone because they're attractive. You like someone because you want to reproduce with them. Whenever your average man sees an OnlyFans model, that hindbrain, that lizard part of him, sees a woman who is open for business. It does not matter what the rationale is.
It's just weird to me that you found me in this website and now you're trying to take it out of the game.
Let me ask you this. What man would want his woman still on the market?
Well,
if she's
no,
his
that's
woman.
fair.
A pimp.
That's
What?
A pimp.
Yeah.
no, that's
Yeah,
fair.
true.
But I don't I don't see, because I'm not dating those people. Does that make
Right,
sense? Like
right.
I'm not dating the people that are coming into my chat rooms, and I'm not dating those people. Those are not the clientele, for a lack of another term. Like those are not my possible suitors.
And there you have it. A woman isn't going to respect a simp. A prostitute is not going to accept another client. That's her own hypocrisy going on here. She convinces herself that these men are getting something out of this interaction other than what they're actually getting out of it. She convinces herself that she's not advertising herself as a potential sexual partner to all her followers and that they're getting something else out of this parasocial interaction. And if you're listening to this video and you're in the grips of a porn addiction or an OnlyFans addiction, just remember this. Just remember this. That woman does not respect you. She does not want you. She sees you as another dollar. You have a big dollar sign written across your face. That's all she sees. Women speak two languages, and that's attention and money. This vocation of OnlyFans relies on dishonesty. This woman has to lie to herself. Oh, well, I'm not dating those people. Well, functionally, those people think they're dating you. Or they think they're going to have a chance through interacting with you, through private messaging you on OnlyFans, that they're going to have a shot at dating you. That's why they continue in this interaction. Do you see how parasitic this relationship is? From both ends, if we're being honest?
Yeah.
Well,
I just think it's interesting that
perhaps-
they.
Well, perhaps one way to address the whole hypocrisy thing is prior to dating, he had no problem with you engaging in what he considered single behavior. But once they started dating, he wanted her or you to act in a way that
Okay.
he thought was consistent with being in a relationship. So, for example, I mean, a guy might, if you're single, we might not necessarily object to you going to bars, clubs, partying, posting provocative photos. But if we're in a relationship with you, if a guy might want to rein in some of those behaviors that are kind of you're
Single,
still advertising.
Understood. Yeah, no,
Single
that makes
behavior.
sense. That makes sense. No,
Like,
totally.
I
see
get
your
it.
point.
Women go to bars and nightclubs, but if you want commitment from me, you can't go to the bar and club.
Human sexuality being renegotiated before our very eyes.
Also, building off what he said, again, that carnal like need and desire for sex that guys have programmed into them, like, of course, off the bat, that's going to make them really attracted to women in that line of work. They're like, great, sex, like I can
Right.
get sex all the time. But I think what he's saying, like, it's a good thing when he starts to feel that way because he's starting to see you as something more than just that. When he cares about you, that's when he's going to want to start putting those restrictions into place. So
That makes sense.
it's honestly a good thing.
I would also, it's funny too how this conversation has gone. I would also add that protectiveness. If you were to comply with that and be like, yeah, I'll take like, that's what a guy who's going to want to commit to you is going to want from you.
These women on this podcast, like many women today, like your average woman today, do not understand what it takes to get a guy to commit to them. They do not know what men want.
Okay, and I think if he's a good guy and he's asking for that, and your career is that, so you live off of it, that if he's a good guy and that's what you guys want to do in the next part of your relationship, he will help guide you and figure out how you can do that transition so you don't have to lose everything and suffer.
100%. That's good leadership right there.
Here's one of the things, though, that I think a lot of women who are involved in sex work or stripping or doing OnlyFans or just traditional adult content is they make a lot of money. So I think what
There's
they're
that one
thinking
chick
is,
that made like $70,000 a month.
we've had a lot of girls on the show that
there's more.
make six figures a month, and
The issue is that now we have this ridiculous asymmetry in our society where a young woman can earn money hand over fist just by showing her body online, just by accessing OnlyFans. It's possible. And most women who have OnlyFans don't earn that much, aren't that successful, but nonetheless, it's still possible, and it's still having a significant impact on our society and the way the sexes interact. Women who would otherwise have to get regular jobs back in 2010 or 2015 can now make $70,000 a month. $70,000 a month, more or slightly less, either way. Thousands and thousands of dollars a month just by being on OnlyFans. And so, of course, they're going to want a man who earns more. They're going to want a man who can take care of them, who can feel safe. But the issue is, although it's digital, they are still engaging in high-risk sexual behaviors. And this makes them inherently undesirable to men with money. Men value that exclusivity of a woman being his and only his and no one else's. That's valuable to a man. And these women, of course, to get into this line of work, to make this money, to get ahead, to move themselves into a higher tier socially, into a higher social strata, they have to pretend that those consequences won't eventually come around to bite them in the butt.
so I think the attitude, at least from what I've interviewed from tons of these girls that have come on the show, is, well, I would stop if they were to continue, if they were really rich guys who could
Provide
On
me
your
the same
lifestyle,
quality of
maintain the
life.
lifestyle,
Maintain
essentially.
Exactly,
Yeah.
maintain the lifestyle. But that's such a small portion of men that can make
So
that
steep.
amount of money, and so it's like,
That's intimidating to guys in and of itself, making that kind of money.
Your average American doesn't even earn $100,000 a year in wages. The internet has created an incentive structure such that average to moderately to very attractive women are able to punch well above their weight class, just because they're now able to access an infinite repository of simps at their fingertips.
I don't know.
I don't find it intimidating if a
Not
woman
to
makes
all
that much
guys,
money.
but to some guys, it's intimidating for the female
Or just
to
a turn off.
right.
Yeah, I don't find it attractive if a woman makes a
woman's-
ton of money.
Yeah.
But like, think about what it could do for your dynasty, Chase. Like, and assuming it's not from sex.
Think about it. Think about what it could do to your relationship dynamic. If your woman's making 20 times more money than you are, like, bro, she's
That's my money
wearing
now.
the pants.
That's my money now.
Like that screws up the power dynamic a lot. Like, I'm not interested in that.
Brian isn't so serious here, but Chase has the right idea. If your girl is earning more than you, that will alter the power dynamic. She doesn't even have to be contributing that much. If she's earning more than you, she will either want a man who earns even more than her, hypergamously, or if she has low confidence and she's not that type of girl, then she will want more decision-making power, more authority in your relationship. Chase understands this. Brian, maybe he does, maybe he doesn't seem to be taking the point too seriously here at this moment.
To that point, the other day when people asked me what I was looking for in a man, and I said, like, I want someone to earn, more money than me, and I named that figure, like, a lot of people were like, oh, like, hypergamous, she's only after the money, but it's literally based off what you said. I know that if I'm not with a man who's going to make more money than me, it's going to completely switch the dynamics in the relationship.
Oh, yeah.
What if she's just super submissive, Chase? But
But she's a baller, but super
I don't know,
submissive.
she's got some investments or some shit. You know what I mean?
I mean, dude, like, there's definitely a way to make it work.
She got
Like,
some fucking
She got a lot
Dogecoin.
in the-
like if
Bitcoin,
she comes to you,
500.
if she comes to you and she's like, hey, I'm like really rich, but I want to put you in charge of the money. It's like, okay, well, that's a different story.
Alright.
It's a lot
you
of
know?
trust.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Not a prenup.
Your average man isn't going to be running into Huguette Clark left and right. And I can only hope that Brian is making a joke here. You should be the top earner in your relationship. You should be the shot caller. You should be the one wearing the pants. You should be the one making the decisions. The moment this ceases to be the case is the moment that she thinks that she gets to make decisions for the both of you, and you don't want that. That is a scenario you do not want to be in under any circumstances. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please share it, and Red Channels will catch you in the next one.